The thing about driving trucks is that you develop a sixth sense for the road. 20 years of it, and you can feel when something's not right, even before you see it. That night on Highway 50, somewhere in the Nevada desert, my senses were practically screaming at me. Most folks call it America's loneliest highway for a reason. Miles and miles of nothing but darkness and desert. Usually, I prefer it that way. The solitude, just me and the road and whatever's playing on the radio. That particular haul was nothing special. Appliances from Salt Lake City to Sacramento. Routine stuff. I remember checking my watch around 9:30 p.m. Should have been in Fallon by midnight. Grabbed some sleep at the truck stop there. The moon was nearly full that night, casting this pale blue light across the desert. Made everything look different, not quite real. About 50 miles east of Fallon, I spotted him, just standing there by his car on the shoulder, hood up, looking pretty much stranded. Normally, I don't pick up hitchhikers. Company policy, plus it's just asking for trouble. But something about being out there, in that emptiness, I couldn't just drive past. So I pulled over. The guy looked young, maybe mid-20s, clean cut, wearing jeans and a dark jacket, nothing threatening about him. Said his name was Alex, and his car had just died on him. No cell service out there, of course. "Where you headed?" I asked him. "Reno," he said, "meeting some friends." Reno wasn't exactly on my route, but it wasn't far off either. I told him I could drop him in Fallon, and he could figure it out from there. He seemed relieved, grabbed a small backpack from his car, and climbed in. For the first 20 minutes or so, everything was normal. He was quiet, which was fine by me. I'm not one for small talk. The radio was playing some classic rock station, reception fading in and out as we wound through the hills. That's when the radio started acting up. First, it was just static cutting in and out. I fiddled with the dial, but it got worse. Screeching sounds, like feedback, but different. More deliberate somehow. Alex noticed it too. I could see him shifting uncomfortably in his seat. "Bad reception out here," I said, trying to sound casual. But it wasn't just bad reception. In 20 years of driving that route, I'd never heard anything like it. I switched the radio off, and that's when I noticed how quiet it was. Not the normal quiet of the desert night, but a heavy kind of silence, like the air itself was holding its breath. "You ever get that feeling like you're being watched?" Alex suddenly asked. His voice was different now, tense. I was about to answer when I saw it. A light in the sky, off to the right. At first I thought it was a plane, but it wasn't moving like one. It seemed to hover, then dart sideways in a way that, well, planes don't move like that. "You seeing that?" I asked, nodding toward the light. Alex was staring at it, his face pale in the dashboard glow. "What is that?" "Probably military," I said. "Area 51 isn't too far from here. They test experimental aircraft and stuff." Even as I said it, I knew it didn't sound right. Whatever that thing was doing, it wasn't like any aircraft I'd ever seen. The light started moving parallel to us, keeping pace with the truck. That's when the engine started to sputter. "No, no, no," I muttered, watching the gauges. Everything looked normal, but the engine was definitely struggling. The truck began to slow. The light was getting closer now, bigger, and there was something else, a low, vibrating hum that I could feel more than hear. It made my teeth ache. "What's happening?" Alex asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Just some engine trouble," I said, but we both knew it was more than that. I spotted an old abandoned gas station up ahead and managed to coast the truck into its crumbling parking lot. The headlights caught the faded sign, the boarded up windows. The place had been closed for years. As soon as I killed the engine, the silence hit us again. No cricket sounds, no distant traffic, nothing but that faint humming, getting stronger. "We should call someone," Alex said, pulling out his phone. "No signal," he added after a moment. "There's a flashlight in the glove compartment," I told him. "I'm going to take a look at the engine." I climbed out, and the desert cold hit me like a wall. The night was clear, stars everywhere, but I couldn't see the light in the sky anymore. Somehow, that was worse than seeing it. I popped the hood and aimed the flashlight at the engine. Everything looked normal, but that humming was getting louder, making it hard to concentrate. And there was something else now. A smell like ozone, like the air before a lightning strike. That's when Alex called out from somewhere behind the truck. His voice sounded strange, high-pitched with panic. "Michael, get back in! We need to go. I turned, sweeping the flashlight beam toward his voice. He was standing about 20 feet away, staring at something beyond the edge of the lot, where the desert began. The beam caught his face, his eyes wide, mouth open. "What is it?" I called, starting toward him. That's when he screamed it. "Drive! Please drive!" I swung the flashlight to where he was looking, and the beam caught something. I still struggled to describe what I saw. It wasn't quite solid, more like a distortion in the air, a rippling, but it had a shape. No, shapes, moving toward us. My heart was hammering so hard I could barely breathe. I started backing toward the truck, calling for Alex to do the same. But he wasn't moving. He was just standing there staring. I reached the driver's door and yanked it open. "Alex!" I shouted. "Get in the truck!" He turned to look at me then, and his face, God, his face. There was this expression I'd never seen before. Not just fear, something beyond that. Like he was seeing something that humans weren't meant to see. "They're here," he whispered. But somehow I heard him clearly despite the distance between us. The humming was overwhelming now, making the ground vibrate beneath my feet. The air felt electrified, my skin prickling with it. And then, right in front of Alex, the air seemed to open. There's no other way to put it. Like reality itself was being peeled back. And standing there, in that tear in the world, that's where my memory gets fragmented. I remember shapes, tall, impossibly thin. I remember light, not coming from them, but somehow emanating through them. And I remember Alex, walking toward them, his movements jerky, unnatural, like a puppet on strings. I think I called out to him again. I think I even started moving toward him. But then, nothing. Blackness. The next thing I remember is waking up in my truck, parked at a rest stop, almost 100 miles west. It was dawn. I'd lost nearly 6 hours. Alex was gone. His backpack was still there on the passenger seat, but he was gone. And there was something else. A smell in the truck. That same ozone smell, but mixed with something else. Something alien. I know how this sounds. Believe me, I know. If someone had told me this story before it happened, I'd have thought they were nuts. Maybe I am. Maybe it was just exhaustion. Or I fell asleep at the wheel. But that doesn't explain Alex. That doesn't explain the lost time. And it doesn't explain the marks I found later, on my arms. 3 perfect circles, arranged in a triangle, like something had taken samples. That was 3 weeks ago. I haven't told anyone except you. Not the police. What would I say? That aliens took the hitchhiker I picked up. That I lost 6 hours of my life. They'd lock me up. But I had to tell someone. Because it's not over. The dream started a few days after. Always the same. That abandoned gas station. Those shapes in the darkness. And Alex's voice. Saying things I can't quite remember when I wake up. Important things. Warnings maybe. And sometimes, when I'm driving at night, I'll catch a glimpse of something in my rearview mirror. A light, following me, keeping pace. The first few days after it happened, I tried to convince myself it was just stress. Sleep deprivation maybe. 20 years on the road, you see some strange things when fatigue sets in. But this was different. The missing time, those marks. And Alex, a real person who had vanished. I finished my delivery in Sacramento the next day, going through the motions like an automaton. My boss called, wanted me to pick up another load heading back east. I told him I needed a few days. Personal emergency. He wasn't happy, but I had vacation time coming. I spent those days in a cheap motel room, barely eating, barely sleeping, searching online for Highway 50 Nevada missing person, but finding nothing about Alex. I even drove back to where I'd picked him up, hoping to find his car still there. It wasn't. No trace it had ever been there. The marks on my arm, they weren't healing like normal injuries. 3 perfect circles, each about the size of a dime, arranged in a triangle. No redness, no scabbing, just slightly paler than the rest of my skin, like old scars. Except they weren't old. They hadn't been there before that night. About a week after it happened, I decided to call my daughter, Lisa. We don't talk much. My fault, mostly. The divorce was hard on her. She's in college now, in San Francisco. Smart kid. Smarter than her old man ever was. Dad, everything okay? Her first question. Because I never call without a reason. usually money, or to cancel a visit. "Yes, sweetheart. Just checking in," I said, trying to sound normal. "How's school?" We talked for a few minutes about her classes, her roommate drama, normal stuff. Then she got quiet. "You sound weird, Dad." "What's going on?" I almost told her. The words were right there. But then what? Have her think her father had finally lost it? So I told her I was just tired. Long hauls and bad coffee. She didn't believe me. She knows me too well. But she let it go. That night, the dreams were worse. I was back at that gas station, but this time I was alone. No Alex. Just those shapes in the darkness, moving toward me. And that sound, that humming that vibrates in your bones. I woke up drenched in sweat. The cheap motel sheets twisted around me. 3:17 a.m. on the digital clock, and the TV was on. Just static, no sound. I didn't remember turning it on. I got up, went to turn it off, and that's when I saw it, a reflection in the screen, something standing behind me. I spun around, heart pounding. Nothing there, just the empty motel room. But when I looked back at the TV for just a split second, I swear I saw a face. Not human. Just not human. I checked out that morning, told my boss I was ready to work, needed to be moving, to be doing something. He gave me a load heading to Phoenix. I took it without hesitation. Driving helped. The routine of it, the familiar rhythm of the highway. Hours passed without me thinking about that night, about Alex. Almost normal, until my phone rang. Unknown number. I shouldn't have answered it, but some part of me knew this was connected. "Hello?" I said. No response at first. Just a soft, staticky breathing. "Who is this?" I demanded. "Michael." Not a question. A statement. And the voice, it sounded like Alex, but distorted somehow. Like he was speaking through water. "Alex, where are you? What happened to you?" "Not safe." His voice faded in and out. "They're listening." "Who's listening?" "Alex, where are you?" "The marks on your arm. They're tracking you." My blood went cold. I hadn't told anyone about those marks. How could he know? "Alex, tell me where you are. I can help you." A sound came through then. That same humming from that night, getting louder. "Too late for me," he said, his voice suddenly clear. "But you can still remember what you saw." "What did I see, Alex?" "I don't remember." "You will. It's coming back. They can't erase everything." The humming was overwhelming now, even through the phone. "They're coming," he whispered. "Don't trust." The call cut off. I pulled over, my hands shaking too badly to drive. I tried calling back, but it just rang and rang. No answer. That night I checked into another motel. Different town, same depressing room. I couldn't sleep, kept replaying that call in my head. The marks were tracking me. Who was they? What had I seen that I couldn't remember? Around midnight, I decided to try something. I'd read somewhere that hypnosis can help recover lost memories. There were videos online, guided hypnosis sessions. Worth a shot. I found one, put in my earbuds, and lay back on the bed. The woman's voice was soothing, guiding me to relax, to go deeper. At first, nothing happened. Just felt silly. But then, I was back there, the gas station. The moment after I saw those shapes moving toward Alex. The part I couldn't remember before. They were surrounding him now. 3 of them. Tall. 7, maybe 8 feet. Their bodies were wrong somehow. Too thin. Joints in strange places. And their faces. God, their faces. Not really faces at all. Just smooth, reflective surfaces, like mirrors, but distorted. I could see Alex's terrified expression reflected back in them, multiplied, warped. I was frozen, unable to move, to call out. One of them turned toward me, and in its face that wasn't a face, I saw myself, but changed. Older. Eyes hollow with something worse than fear. Alex wasn't struggling anymore. He was standing very still, his arms at his sides, head tilted back. They were touching him, long, impossible fingers on his temples, his chest, his wrists, and he was rising, just a few inches off the ground at first, then higher. That's when one of them broke away from the group and moved toward me. So fast, impossibly fast. One moment it was with Alex, the next it was right in front of me. It reached out, those fingers, Not skin, not flesh, but something else, touched my arm, right where the marks are now. Cold. So cold, it burned. And then, darkness. But not unconsciousness. Something else. Like my mind was still awake, but disconnected from my body. I could feel movement, being lifted, carried, a sense of rising, of pressure, lights, blindingly bright, then nothing, voices, but not speaking, more like thoughts pushed directly into my brain, not words, just meanings, concepts too big for language. They were examining me, studying me, not with tools or machines, but with their minds somehow. I could feel them sifting through my memories, my thoughts, like someone flipping through a book, casual, disinterested. I was just a specimen to them, an insect under glass, and Alex was there too, somewhere near. I couldn't see him, but I could sense him, feel his terror matching my own. One memory they kept returning to, my daughter, Lisa, her face, her voice. Why were they so interested in her? Then pain, not physical, something deeper, like they were taking pieces of me. Not flesh, but essence, soul, if such a thing exists. I came out of the hypnosis with a gasp, tumbling off the bed onto the floor. My nose was bleeding. The digital clock read 3:17 a.m. Again, the thing is, I don't know if what I remembered was real, or if my brain was just filling in the blanks with nightmare images, but it felt real, too real. The next morning, I called Lisa again. "Have you noticed anyone following you?" I asked, not bothering with small talk. "What? Dad, what are you talking about? Just pay attention, okay? If you see anyone strange, anyone watching you, call me immediately." "You're scaring me," she said. "What's going on?" I couldn't tell her. Not everything, but I had to say something. "I picked up a hitchhiker last week. He disappeared under strange circumstances. I think he might have been running from someone dangerous. And now, I think they might be watching me too. Not the truth, not exactly, but close enough. Dad, you need to go to the police." "I did," I lied. "They're looking into it. Just be careful, okay?" For me, she promised she would. I didn't tell her about the call from Alex, about what I'd remembered under hypnosis, about the way my truck's electronics had been acting strange since that night, the GPS showing locations I'd never been, the radio coming on by itself, always on that static. After we hung up, I sat in my truck for a long time, just staring at those marks on my arm. "Tracking me," Alex had said. I went to a drugstore, bought a roll of gauze and some medical tape, covered the marks completely. Probably useless, probably crazy, but I had to do something. That evening, driving through Arizona, I saw the lights again, in the sky, keeping pace with my truck, no longer trying to hide, following me openly now. And I knew, with a certainty that terrified me to my core, that whatever had happened that night wasn't over. It was just beginning. 2 weeks after that night on Highway 50, I started noticing the gaps. Not just the 6 hours I lost during the incident, new ones, small ones, 10 minutes here, half an hour there. I'd be driving, and suddenly I'd realize I had no memory of the last few miles. Or I'd check the time and discover that what felt like 5 minutes had actually been 45. At first, I thought it was just exhaustion, stress. The brain does strange things when you're sleep deprived. But then I started finding things. Evidence that during these gaps, I was doing things I had no memory of. A receipt for a diner in Tucson. I hadn't been to Tucson. At least I didn't remember going to Tucson. But according to the receipt, I'd ordered a full breakfast there. Eggs, bacon, coffee, my signature on the credit card slip. My handwriting, but different, somehow. More precise. Photos on my phone that I didn't remember taking. Random things. A street sign. The night sky. A close-up of my own eye. And the truck's mileage. The numbers didn't add up. Too many miles, given the routes I remembered driving. I started keeping a journal, writing down everything, trying to track the gaps, find patterns. The longest ones seemed to happen at night, between 2 and 4 a.m. usually, the time when the world feels thinnest somehow, when the barriers between what we know and what we don't want to know seem weakest. In one of those gaps, I apparently drove almost 200 miles off my route. When I came to, I was parked at a lookout point in the mountains, Middle of nowhere. 3:17 a.m. on the dashboard clock. Always 3:17. That was the night I found the first drawing. A page torn from my journal. A symbol sketched in what looked like my handwriting, but again, too precise, too perfect. A pattern of interlocking circles and lines. Something I'd never seen before, but that felt familiar somehow, like a word on the tip of your tongue. I stared at it for a long time, trying to remember drawing it, trying to understand what it meant. And as I stared, I started to feel a pressure building in my head, a high-pitched whine that seemed to come from inside my skull. I crumpled up the paper, threw it out the window. The pressure stopped immediately. But that night, I dreamed of the symbol, saw it floating in darkness, pulsing, like it was alive somehow, like it was watching me. The next morning, I called my daughter again, just to hear her voice, to anchor myself to something normal, something real. "Dad, it's like 6 in the morning. Sorry, sweetheart, just checking in." She was quiet for a moment. Then, "You were in San Francisco yesterday." My blood went cold. "What?" "I saw you, outside my dorm. You were just standing there, watching the building." "That's not possible," I said. "I was in Arizona yesterday. At least, that's where I thought I was. But those miles on the truck, Dad, it was you." I waved. "You looked right at me, but it was like you didn't recognize me. Then you got back in your truck and drove away. I tried calling, but you didn't answer." I had no memory of this. No memory of seeing my daughter, of being in San Francisco at all. "Lisa, listen to me carefully. Next time you see me, don't approach. Just call me first. Make sure it's really me. You're scaring me," she said, her voice small. "What's going on?" I wanted to tell her everything then, but how could I? How do you tell your child that you're losing time, that something might be controlling you, using you? "It's complicated," I said. "Just promise me, okay?" She promised. We hung up. I sat in my truck, staring at nothing, trying to process what she'd told me. I'd driven to San Francisco, over 800 miles, seen my daughter, and had no memory of any of it. That day, I went to a doctor, told him I was experiencing blackouts, memory loss. He ran some tests, blood work, asked about my alcohol consumption, drug use. I told him nothing but the occasional beer. He didn't believe me. I could see it in his eyes. Thought I was an addict in denial. The tests came back normal. Everything normal. He recommended a neurologist, maybe a psychiatrist. I didn't make either appointment. What would I tell them? That I suspected aliens were taking control of my body. They'd lock me up. Instead, I went back on the road, took a load heading east, trying to outrun whatever was happening to me. Stupid, I know. You can't outrun something that's inside you. That night I checked into a motel, cheap place off the highway. I set up my phone to record video, propped it on the dresser where it could see the whole room. Then I took a sleeping pill, the only way I could get any rest anymore, and passed out. When I woke up the next morning, the first thing I did was check the recording. Most of it was just me sleeping, tossing and turning, mumbling occasionally. Nothing unusual. Then, at exactly 3:17 a.m., I sat up in bed, eyes open, but wrong somehow. Blank. I got out of bed, moved to the center of the room, and just stood there, perfectly still, for almost an hour. Then I started speaking. Not English, not any language I recognized. Sounds that didn't seem like they should be able to come from a human throat. At 4:23 a.m., I went back to bed, just like that, laid down and was still again. I watched that video a dozen times, trying to understand what I was seeing, what I was hearing. It was my body, my voice, but it wasn't me. Something was using me, like a puppet. And the worst part, watching it didn't scare me as much as it should have. Some part of me had already known, had felt the presence of something else inside me, behind my eyes. That day, driving, I decided to try something. I started talking, out loud, to them, whatever they were. "I know you can hear me," I said to the empty cab of my truck. "I know you're there. What do you want from me?" No response, just the hum of the engine, the sound of tires on asphalt. "Why me? Why Alex? What did you do with him?" Nothing. I felt foolish talking to myself. But I knew I wasn't alone. Hadn't been alone since that night. Are you inside me somehow, controlling me? As I said those words, the radio turned on by itself. Static at first, then fragments of songs, voices, commercials, all cutting in and out, overlapping, chaotic, but somehow deliberate, like they were trying to communicate using the only means they had. I listened carefully, trying to make sense of the fragments, and slowly I began to hear patterns, words emerging from the chaos. Not alone, never alone, part of greater whole. What do you mean? I asked. What whole? Coming, preparation, vessels. Vessels? You mean people? Like me? Like Alex? Compatible. You understand. Daughter understands. Lisa. They were talking about Lisa. Leave her alone, I said, my voice shaking with sudden anger. Whatever this is, it's between you and me. Leave my daughter out of it. The radio went silent. Then a single voice came through clearly. Alex's voice. Too late, Michael. It's already begun. The radio died. Completely. Not just turned off. Died. When I tried to turn it on again, nothing happened. Like something had fried the circuits. I pulled over at the next rest stop, hands shaking too badly to drive. Called Lisa immediately. No answer. Tried 3 more times. Nothing. Left a voicemail telling her to call me as soon as possible. Then I did something I'd been avoiding. I called my ex-wife, Karen. We barely speak anymore, but she lives near Lisa's college. Might know where she was. Michael? She sounded surprised to hear from me. What's wrong? Have you talked to Lisa today? Not since yesterday. Why? What's going on? I hesitated. What could I tell her? That I thought our daughter was in danger from the same entities that had taken over my body. That would go over well. We had a strange conversation this morning, I said carefully. She seemed upset. I've been trying to reach her, but she's not answering. She has finals this week, Karen said. She's probably just studying. You know how she gets? Turns her phone off, locks herself in the library. That made sense. The rational explanation. But nothing about the past 2 weeks had been rational. Could you try to reach her? I asked. And have her call me when you do. Karen was quiet for a moment. You're really worried. Yes, I admitted. I am. Okay, I'll try her friends, the dorm. I'll let you know. Thanks, Karen. After we hung up, I sat in the truck, staring at my phone, willing it to ring. When it finally did, about 20 minutes later, I answered without even checking who it was. Lisa? No, it's me, Karen said. I talked to her roommate. Lisa left early this morning. Said she was meeting you. My heart sank. Meeting me where? The roommate didn't know. Just said Lisa got a call, said it was you and that she had to go meet you. That was around 6 a.m. The same time I'd called her. Except it wasn't me. Not really me. Karen, listen to me. If you hear from her, tell her not to meet me. Tell her to go to you. Or to the police. Michael, you're scaring me. What's going on? I closed my eyes, trying to think. What could I tell her that wouldn't sound completely insane? I think someone might be impersonating me, trying to lure Lisa somewhere. Oh my God. Have you called the police? Not yet, I said. I wanted to check with you first. I'm calling them right now, she said. Where are you? I told her. A rest stop in Nevada. Hundreds of miles from San Francisco. Stay there, she said. I'll call you back after I talk to the police. She hung up. I sat there feeling helpless, terrified. Whatever was happening, it had escalated. They were using me to get to Lisa. Why? What did they want with her? My phone rang again. Unknown number. I answered immediately. Hello? Dad? Lisa's voice. Small. Frightened. Lisa, where are you? Are you okay? I don't know where I am. It looks like some kind of abandoned building. You told me to meet you here, but that wasn't me, Lisa. Listen to me carefully. I need you to get out of there right now. Call 911. Tell them. They're here, Dad. Her voice had changed. Flat. Emotionless. They want me to tell you something. Lisa, who's there with you? The message is, come back to where it began. Alone. Tonight. 3:17. Lisa, I'll be waiting, Dad. We'll all be waiting. The call ended. I tried calling back. No answer. I knew where they wanted me to go. That abandoned gas station on Highway 50, where it all started. I should have called the police, should have told them everything. Consequences be damned. But I didn't. Maybe I was being controlled even then. Or maybe I knew, somehow, that conventional help wouldn't work against what we were dealing with. Instead, I started driving, back toward Highway 50, back to where it began. As night fell, the lights appeared in the sky again, not hiding anymore, following openly, guiding me, leading me back to them, back to Alex, back to Lisa, and whatever waited for us there. I reached the abandoned gas station exactly at 3:17 a.m. The moment I pulled in, my truck died completely. No lights, no power, just silence. The moon was full again, just like that first night. In its pale light, I could see Lisa's car parked near the edge of the lot, empty. "Lisa!" I called out, my voice seeming to disappear into the vast desert darkness. No answer, just that low humming sound, building slowly. I walked toward the building, flashlight in hand, though I knew its batteries would fail soon. They always did around them. The door to the old gas station was open. Just inside, I found Lisa's phone on the floor. Screen cracked. A single message draft visible. "Dad, not real. Trap. Too late for warnings now." As I moved deeper into the building, the humming grew stronger, vibrating in my chest. A faint blue light emanated from a back room. The storage area, probably, in the building's original life. I stood in the doorway, and there they were, just as I remembered from my recovered memories. 3 tall, impossibly thin figures, not quite solid, more like tears in reality. Between them stood Lisa and Alex, both perfectly still, eyes open but vacant, the same way I must have looked in that motel room video. "Let them go," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "Whatever you want, take me instead." One of the figures turned toward me. Its face, that reflective mirror-like surface, showed me my own terrified expression, but distorted, changed, older, hollowed out, just like in my memory. That's when I realized this wasn't the first time I'd been here like this. Wasn't the first time I'd made this same, desperate plea. The figure raised a long, impossible arm, pointed at my chest, not threatening, indicating. I looked down at myself, reached up, unbuttoned my shirt. 3 perfect circles arranged in a triangle, older than the ones on my arm. Much older, years older. The memories crashed in like a tidal wave, not just from 2 weeks ago, from before, many befores, always the same. The highway, the hitchhiker, the abandoned gas station, the lost time. "How many times?" I whispered. "How many times have we done this?" The figure tilted its head. In its mirror face, I saw myself speaking, but it wasn't my voice that came out. It was Alex's. "As many times as needed," it said, "until the sequence is complete." Lisa's body moved then, her mouth opening, but the voice was wrong. Older, a woman I didn't recognize. "Each cycle brings us closer," she said. "Each vessel carries a piece." I understood then. They weren't abducting us. They were using us, like relay stations, passing something between us, through us. Information, energy, something else entirely. Alex's body stepped forward. "Your function is nearly complete, Michael. One final transfer." The 3 figures moved toward me in unison, their movements fluid, inhuman. The blue light pulsed, growing brighter. "And Lisa?" I asked, backing away. "What happens to her?" "The same that happened to you," said the thing wearing Alex's voice. "The same that happens to all compatible vessels. She becomes part of the sequence, as you did, as your father did. My father, missing since I was 12. A truck driver too." The figures were surrounding me now. Those impossible fingers reaching for my temples, my chest, my wrists. The last thing I remember clearly is looking past them, at Lisa. For just a moment, her eyes focused, recognized me, and the expression on her face, pure terror mixed with recognition, like she suddenly remembered something about me, something terrible. Then the blue light consumed everything. They tell me I was found wandering along Highway 50 3 days later. No memory of what happened. No Lisa. No Alex. Just those marks, old and new. That was 6 months ago. The nightmares continue, the lost time, the sense of something moving inside me, watching through my eyes. Sometimes I think I see Lisa in crowds, in passing cars, but when I look again, she's gone. I keep driving, keep searching. Sometimes, in my rearview mirror, I catch a glimpse of something following, keeping pace, and I wonder, am I still looking for her? Or am I delivering something to her? Or maybe she's looking for me now. If you've enjoyed this account, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more unexplained encounters from real people just like you. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a new story. And ask yourself this question as you drive home tonight, that strange light in your rearview mirror. Are you sure it's just another car?